Welcome to a Better Divorce podcast, where we have conversations about the emotional, financial, and legal issues that are on your mind or should be on your radar if your goal is to keep your divorce out of court. I'm collaborative divorce attorney and mediator Andrea Vacca, and I know that how you divorce matters to your long-term well-being. That's why it's my mission to help you have a better divorce with as little acrimony as possible, so that you can create the best life possible on the other side of your marriage. Hello, everyone. We are now officially into our second season of the podcast. If you listen to any part of the first season, you know that at the end of each episode, I end my interview by asking my guest, what is one tip you have for someone who wants to have a better divorce? And when looking back over those episodes, I realized that whether my guest was a financial advisor, a mental health professional, a coach, another attorney, or any other professional, the tips they provided fell into one of two categories: how to be or what to do. So now in my 13th episode, I look back on my first season of the podcast and recounted all the tips that fell into the how to be category. I shared tips that included things like be kind, be flexible, be grateful, and practice acceptance. I then shared my better divorce mindset tip, which was to be the person you'd want to see on the other side of the negotiating table. I shared those how to be tips because mindset is 90% of the game. The only thing you can control in your divorce is yourself. Your emotions, your responses, and your actions are the only things that truly lie within your control. And when you accept that, you can make better choices. In this episode, I'll be diving into the what to do tips, because once you have the right mindset, there are things you can actually do or don't do before and during your divorce to ensure that you have a better divorce. So my first guest to provide a what to do tip was relationship therapist Dr. Kristen Davin. She offers online therapy and coaching for individuals and families and couples. And her first tip was to allow yourself to grieve. She discussed how we often think of grieving when someone actually dies, but people also grieve at the death of a dream. A dream could be the fact that you never had a child. It could be that you always wanted to get an advanced degree and never made the time, or that you pictured yourself married for the rest of your life, but you're now in a marriage that's ending. Kristen said that you must allow yourself time and grace to grieve as you go through this emotional roller coaster of divorce, so you can properly move on to the next chapter, hopefully the next great chapter of your life. Accepting the grieving process as you mourn your marriage allows you to grow and find yourself again. And she had a second tip, and that was don't compare your divorce to someone else's. Everyone has their own journey. You don't know what other people went through or what their situation was that might be different from yours. You should look at your own divorce and say, this is my process, not someone else's. And when she explained that, it really spoke to me because we all compare ourselves to others in so many ways. And those comparisons usually only make us feel terrible about ourselves. Divorce is hard enough without thinking we should be doing something better or we should be in a different place or at a certain amount of time. Your divorce process is yours. And telling yourself that it should be a certain way or that you should be doing something simple, something different, is just beating yourself up. And they're unfair expectations that you're making for yourself. No divorce is alike. They're not cookie cutter situations. Your divorce is as unique to you and your soon-to-be ex and the relationship that you had. So I will add to her advice and say, don't should on yourself. I've been a divorce lawyer for 30 plus years, and I've helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients divorce. And we've seen many similar issues, but I'll tell you, not one divorce was ever exactly the same. Now, Julia Hoagland was another guest, and she's a residential real estate expert. And her advice on what to do was to trust your advisors. She reminded us that your advisors you chose them for a reason. You brought them onto your team because it made sense because of who they are and what they could offer. And the money you're paying them to guide you during your divorce is an investment not only in your present situation, but also in your future. So whether it's your real estate agent, your investment advisor, or your lawyer or your coach, allow them to do what they're there to do. Don't try to cut corners and do things yourself or go find someone else to do something that you hired someone already to do. At the end of the day, allowing yourself to trust the experts will benefit your bottom line. And I mean that financially as well as emotionally. Because I know divorce is difficult and it can be really scary to let go and trust others, especially if a lack of trust and betrayal was one of the issues that is causing your marriage to end. You're very sensitive to that right now. I get it. As Julia said, you'll have a team of trusted advisors around you that you've already invested quite a lot of money in. So just step back, let them do the things that they do best so that you can focus on the things that they can't help you with. This way, you can focus on the parts of your life that are your actual responsibility. That includes your mindset, taking care of your kids, getting to your job, dealing with your family, and all the other parts of your very busy life. You take care of those parts of your life that you need to handle and let your divorce advisors and professional advisors take care of what they do best. Let them provide the advice and guidance that you need to get where you want to go. You have enough on your plate right now. So when you let your advisors do their job, you can free up more space for yourself. Ivy Menchel was a certified divorce financial analyst that joined us, and her first tip was know what's important to you. When you feel overwhelmed by the choices that you need to make, take some deep breaths. This allows you to calm down your body and your mind and will allow you to understand what you truly want, what is truly important to you, and why. This is something you need to do because when you understand why something is important to you and what your life might look like with or without that thing, you can then negotiate for the best terms that will set you up for your future. So that means sometimes you need to let go of things like a home that you love, but it doesn't make financial sense to continue owning. Or sometimes things are calling you and you know you want more of it in your life, like travel or a new career. Put the time in to think about what's important to you and why, and what you want your life to look like at the end of your marriage when you've moved on. Ivy had a second tip, like Kristen did. She said, know your numbers. Now, for a divorce financial analyst, that makes a lot of sense. Know your income, know your assets, know your liabilities, and what you're spending. Really know what those numbers are. It's crucial to help you through your divorce. We can make lots of assumptions as to what we own, what we're spending, but without really looking at the numbers, you'll never truly know. But when you do, as hard as that work is, and uncomfortable as it might be, it will help you build confidence and reduce the emotion and fear that you have about the divorce and about your future. Knowing your numbers, whether they're great or horrible, will help you be better prepared for the negotiations and will help your team be more in sync. So everyone is steering in the right direction that you want to go. Our guest, Susie Wood, was an integrative nutrition health coach, and she went through her own divorce, but now coaches women to live a healthier life post-divorce. And her tip was, don't use your lawyer as a therapist or a coach. Your divorce attorney has extensive experience that allows us to understand the emotional aspects of divorce. We know what you're going through, but our primary role is to help you navigate the legal aspects of the divorce. We're empathetic and we're caring, but we are usually not trained as coaches or as mental health professionals. So your soon-to-be ex is going to do stupid things that drive you crazy during your divorce. That's guaranteed. The person you were unhappily married to is the person you're divorcing. Venting to your lawyer about those things that your spouse said or did or didn't do may feel good in the moment to get it off your chest, but when you see or hear yourself continuing to let yourself get triggered by what they're doing, and you find yourself describing the same crazy making behavior over and over to your attorney, it's time to hang up the phone and call your coach or therapist. Similar to what Julia Hoagland said, your advisors are on your team for a specific reason. Let them do what they're there to do. You get your support for your emotional issues that you will inevitably be dealing with. You get that support from a therapist or coach that's trained to deal with those emotional issues. Not only are they going to have the expertise you need at that moment, but you'll save money because I guarantee they're charging less per hour than your lawyer. And finally, certified real estate divorce specialist Leonard Gottlieb's tip was to communicate your goals and to let each of your advisors know what goals you truly want to achieve in your divorce. So if you followed Ivy Minchel's advice and you've determined what's important to you, you may now know. Do you want to keep the home or do you want to have more liquid assets? Do you want to move to a new neighborhood? Do you want to ensure that your kids can stay in their schools? So Leonard's saying, when you know what's important to you, share it. Don't keep it a secret from all the other members of your divorce team. When you clearly communicate what's important to you, it will ensure that everyone on your team knows what you're envisioning for your life after your divorce. And then they can better help you by working together to achieve those goals that you're telling them are important to you. So those were the what to do tips from my guests from season 1. And I want to add my better divorce tip for this week. What you should do is find a lawyer who understands the type of divorce that you're envisioning for yourself and who can work in that process. Listen, if you want a nasty, dragged out fight, there are plenty of lawyers who will build on your anger and your resentment and all the distrust that you have, and they will use threats and duress to try and bully your spouse into submission. But if you want a divorce that will allow you and your spouse to come to an understanding so that you can each have a better life on the other side of your marriage and allow you to co-parent in a respectful and productive way, then you need a lawyer who's collaboratively trained. You need a lawyer who understands that using a team approach to divorce will help you manage the legal, emotional, and financial issues that come with the end of every marriage, so that none of those issues hijack your ability to make smart, rational, and long-term decisions that are in your best interest and in the best interest of your children. I hope these tips on what to do were helpful. If you want more guidance for your divorce, or if you want to find out more about our law firm, visit us at vaccalaw.com. Our blog is packed with great articles to help you have a better divorce, and you can download our free ebook, Divorce Without Court, A More Peaceful Solution. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.
You've been tuning in to another episode of A Better Divorce podcast with Andrea Vacca. Thank you for subscribing, leaving your positive comments and reviews, and sharing the show with others. You can watch episodes at vaccalaw.com, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And you can listen through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Bye for now, and remember, you can have a better divorce.